Starting momentarily.
And we are also live on Facebook.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, Kim, let me let you in here
There we
on the...
go.
Are you in? Wait, hang on. I didn't let you in yet.
I requested it.
You requested it. Here I am. I'm letting you in, my friend.
Thank you.
And
hello, everybody.
hi, hi, hi. All right.
Fantastic.
Okay, and I am joining as well. Wait.
There you are.
Here I am. All right, hang on. Just need to adjust
adjust
this. I
Yep.
do need to make an adjustment. Here we are. All right. Ta-da! Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello, and happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Window Treatment Friday, my friend Kim.
Yes.
How are you today?
Happy Window Treatment Friday to you too, Vita.
I'm excited because today we're talking about window treatments at beach houses. I don't know how we haven't broached that subject yet. We did go through the entire summer of 2020, and somehow we didn't talk about beach homes, but here we are.
You know what I think it is? No one was really doing that much traveling last year, so you really weren't thinking about, like, you know, a beach house.
Yeah. No, but this year we're in a couple of weeks we're off on our first vacation since the lockdown, so we're super excited. Yes, we're just, kids are done school, we're out of here.
Good for you guys.
Thank you. All right, here's one of your projects.
Okay, so to start, this is a project that we did out for a beach house in the Hamptons. This was for Jenny Madden Designs. And this is in the master bedroom. So what we did here was some inside mount blackout woven wood shades with a pair of stationary panels on either side of the larger window, and then just a single panel on the two side windows. You obviously, because of the picture, you don't see the other window for the bed. So what's nice about this is that, you know, you're still, even though it's your beach house, second home and whatnot, or first home, you still want to decorate it, like you still want to go for it and add that like warmth and that whole luxurious feeling in the master bedrooms. I know a lot of times, sometimes the idea might be, well, it's just the beach house, but like, wouldn't you want to come home to this on the weekends and relax your head here? And it just feels so serene and so calm. And Jenny did such a great job with all the finishes and her team with the furniture that they picked out. So it was great to kind of see the after from the before, seeing this, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole theme of serenity and quietness and peace and calm, I think you will see, you guys, it through our whole presentation today.
Yeah, and what I like about this, it doesn't scream like beach house. You know what I mean? Like it's because you can go there.
It could be any other bedroom. It could be any other bedroom, but this is very indicative of the beach house, at least here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And so we're continuing with the theme of calmness and serenity here. This is another beach house. This project was done for House Edits. This is a firm here in Pennsylvania that we're working with for the last year, a little bit over a year. Anita Householder is the owner, and we've been privileged to do quite a few projects with her. We're working on a lot of projects with her this year as well. She's quite busy. And here we did this beach house for a client who is local. I believe she is in Montgomery County. That's how Anita knows her. And of course, she has a second house down the shore, which is kind of how the Northeast lifestyle is. You have a house inland, your first primary property, and then you have the secondary at the shore. And so here, what we're seeing here, even though we did a whole bunch of soft treatments as well, but what I'm choosing to highlight here are woven wood shades. And woven woods, because of their texture, because of the natural fibers and the natural look of them, they are a very popular theme and product to be used at beach houses. Now, they can be used in different colors. Here, Anita chose to go with the off-white. There's a lot of white and off-white textures and fabrics now that are coming out from the woven wood companies. So this particular one is from this company called Pro Design. it is a company that I have highlighted before when Kim and I did a whole episode on woven wood shades. And it's a company that has been really supportive of us, of Vitalia Inc., all throughout our horrible experience with the fire. And just in general, we find that their customer service is really good. We work with Emma, who is the sales rep for them, and she's always on the ball. She's just answers all of our questions, whatever we need. And oh, P.S. they have a really good product too. So it's like of course it is most important, but I always almost feel like it's a given. It's the foundation. Like without it, we can't really go any further. Right. And so good quality product almost becomes an unspoken thing. It's like, well, of course it is. Like we all produce good quality product. If we didn't, we wouldn't be in business. But it's what are you willing and capable of doing above and beyond having really good product. Right. And so for this particular company, I do like how Emma services us. I like their customer service. I like their shipping, just like actually many other companies, is not 1 or 2 weeks by any means, but nobody is. I'm not saying that it should be, but at least with them, I find that whatever lead time they give us, they stick with it. And if it's either that lead time or sooner, which is always a great surprise. So we've come to rely on them quite a bit.
So let's just talk real quick. Hold on. Let's go back to that one because I just want to point out a couple of things here with the woven wood. So this particular woven wood, is it, because it's hard to tell in the picture, is it like the traditional style where the fabric comes off the back and there's a 6-inch self balance in the front? Or is this a waterfall style with a back valance?
Okay, so excellent question. So to Kim's point, a waterfall is when the shade comes off the front of the board. A traditional style is when the shade comes off the back of the board. And if you guys are interested in knowing more about it, do go back to the previous episode we have done on specifically woven wood shades. This is a traditional style. This shade came off of the back of the board, and we did the valances on the front of the board. This particular one, you may remember from the previous episode, we didn't line the valances at first.
Right.
And so because of that, you could really see all the mechanisms through them. So we actually ended up going back and actually ordering the lined valances, and then going back and replacing the unlined valances with lined valances. So that it can be done retroactively that way too, in case you run into an issue.
Yes, we've had to do that too. And returns aren't, or shades sticking out a little bit, and it's like a return could really work there. So yeah.
Right. We have done, speaking of the returns, right, when the shade is not completely what's called flush mount, which is when the shade is completely inside mounted. So none of the shade is sticking out into the room even a little bit. So most of the time the windows are not quite deep enough. So what you end up having is, let's say the board is 2.5 inches. So 1.5 inches of it is inside the window and 1 inch of it is outside of the window. So we end up getting regular returns, and then our installer custom cuts it on site to just include that return on the part of the shade that sticks out of the window.
Yeah, so it's all these like little tricks of the trade and nudgy things that companies like Vita's and ours at Window Works that we take care of all those things for you.
We think about that, right? Yes. And especially on woven woods, I find, if any Roman shade, any custom Roman shade, of course, will have some sort of flap or return. But I guess my point is on the woven shade in particular, oftentimes those dust boards, they are either uncovered or they're just covered in very plain lining. And there's also a Velcro on the side of it for the return. And so if you don't specify having the returns, or if you don't think of getting it at all, you still have that Velcro and it just looks really unsightly.
Yeah, it's not so pretty.
We're good here?
Yeah.
Thank you for those questions, Kim. I appreciate it.
Okay, so this next project was one that we did for Hudson and Bloom down in Manahawkin. And this was a really great beach house project. This house is on the water there, so you can see through the sliding glass door that you are getting a view of the ocean. So I would say almost all of the rooms had an ocean view. So it's great for during the day and whatnot, but for sleeping, sometimes that can propose a little bit of a challenge because with the sun coming in and reflecting off the ocean, and everybody wanted room darkening. So it was a challenge of getting the room darkening and being able to not block the view too much. So for this particular bedroom, we opted for operable baton draw drapes.
Okay.
And what you're seeing here is we had wall that we can stack the drape on. So we were able to push the drape, a majority of it, onto the wall. It's only really covering maybe about 6 or 7 inches of the glass. So it is covering the molding and, you know, the framing around the actual glass of the door and whatnot. But the goal was not to block too much of the view, especially when you're sitting at the desk there and whatnot. You want to be able to look out. A lot of clients of ours in quarantine and whatnot, they actually retreated down to their beach houses, and that's where they did their whole quarantine experience. So, so I can only imagine maybe this client, this became, you know, everyone had their own little home office. But yeah, for this one, we did a 2-prong pinch pleat, and the pinch pleat, we decided to do it just instead of the typical like 3.5, 4, we did it a 5, just to kind of give it a little something, because the ceiling heights were a little on the taller side. And we did it on a decorative traverse rod in brass, so that this way you have that whole decorative look, but it runs along the track. We have talked about decorative traverse rods in previous videos of hardware, so you can go back and check that out. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a refresher course.
Definitely. I feel like we need a refresher on a lot of things.
I know. So a lot of things have come out. I'm with hardware. I'm personally testing a new line in my home. I am. So I'm very curious to see how it comes out. So
you'll have to tell us.
I will have
maybe
to
we'll do the tour of Kim's home.
Yeah. I have to finish it first. Yeah.
So when's that going to be? In about 5 years? That's when we should expect that episode?
It will happen. It's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months. It's getting there. But, you know, sometimes you have to put your clients' projects ahead of your own. So
sometimes?
Yeah.
I feel like all the time. Classics. I bet you we're classic stories of a shoemaker without shoes.
Yeah, I'm the window treatment lady with paper shades.
Oh my God, so true.
So that's how we were able to achieve the look of the room darkening, because these were almost wall-to-wall sliding glass doors.
Nice, nicely done. And here we have another picture situation of a sliding glass door, but in this situation, this designer opted out for split draw draperies. The designer here is Barbara Straub of Barbara Straub Interiors. She is actually located in the Lehigh Valley, so up by like Scranton area, Poconos essentially, Pocono Mountains. And she too personally actually has a house down the shore in Avalon, and her clients who live up in Lehigh Valley, they also have houses down there, so that's how she's able to work in both places. So in the beginning of the year, we actually started at the end of 2020, and we installed a few projects, two big projects for her in January, February. So this was one of them: sliding glass door, operable split draw draperies, pleated on a white rod. So actually that's another thing that is very indicative of a shore window treatment installation. You either use white hardware or some kind of white wash on your hardware, or we've also used like a polished nickel or a brushed nickel. But usually you try to, well, at least in my experience, you try to go for something light and bright, not super heavy. Definitely nothing big, right? I don't remember the last time I used anything that's over 1 3/8 of an inch in hardware. Kim, do you remember we used those clunky like 2 1/4 inch rods?
Yeah, and what we started doing back then to kind of modernize it a little bit, we would do the big like wood pole, and then we would do metal rings. We would mix metal rings with it. So the challenge was finding a company that had a big enough metal ring to go around the pole. But yeah, we started, Luann and I started doing that. Oh God, I want to say maybe about 10 years ago when like
look at you, the pioneers of hardware.
When you were still doing all the all the wood poles, but the client was like, I just feel like the wood rings are so chunky. We want something a little finer. So we went back to the drawing board, and that's when we were like, what if we did metal rings with the wood poles?
Nice.
And,
nice. Very nice. Yep. And so here, just to go back to this example. So this was a understated about 1 3/8 probably white hardware pleated, very light blue fabric, kind of like a light blue wash. And here, this designer opted for what I thought was pretty unique, this trim that we used along the leading edge. So this is not a tape. This is not like a grosgrain tape that we use all the time. This is actually brushed fringe. And the texture of it is very similar to like a woven wood shade. So it's kind of very natural, grass clothy feeling, brushed fringe in that same sort of light beige-ish type color. And we ended up putting it inside the leading edge there.
Yeah. I love doing that little, it's just like a little surprise. We just did that for Plume Interiors for a client of hers, where we did it on the lead edge and then on the bottom flap of the Roman shade. So that way,
exactly. We've recently started doing the brushed fringe. In the past, maybe in the last couple of years or so, it's usually use brush fringe on pillows or something because it has a really thick base. So it needs to be accounted into when you're actually sewing it in. So that's why it's usually used in pillows, because with the pillow, with the insert, you really don't feel how thick it is. But we have started using it in draperies, and it turns out really, like you said, like a very surprising, nuanced, interesting, intriguing kind of element.
And if anybody knows of like a neon green brush fringe, I'm on the hunt for that for my home again.
Okay.
I'm trying to design my home. Yeah, like
neon green. Okay.
It's like a neon green. I know. I said it to Carlos. He thinks I'm crazy, but we're gonna go with it.
And you know what? I have no doubt that you'll find something somehow. When Kim puts her mind to something, she's good.
Yeah. If anybody has this out there in Instagram and Facebook world, if you have a source for a neon fringe, let me know. And I will pay you a shout out and tag you when the drapes are done.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to pivot gears a little bit. The last couple pictures we showed you or projects were of like woven woods and draperies and whatnot. And this is a project that we did down in Lavallette. And as you can see, they have a lot of windows happening in this shore house here. And if you're not very familiar with the Jersey Shore, a lot of times in these smaller beach towns, homes can be one right on top of one another. So you could have the greatest ocean view, but then as you're sitting at your kitchen table, as you're sitting at your kitchen table, you're like, "Sup, neighbor? How you doing? I'm having my coffee too."
Like, hello, let me shake your hand.
Would you like a mug?
Right. Let me pour you one.
So for this particular project, this is the front of the house. The back of the house face is on the water there on the bay. And so for here, they wanted to block the view and have, they wanted to have the ability to be able to block the view at the privacy level, but then still be able to see the sky. So we went for shutters. And this particular client loves shutters. Their home up here in West Orange, we have done shutters on every window, and they wanted to kind of recreate that look down at their beach house. The only difference is up here in West Orange, we did wood shutters. Down at the beach in Lavallette, these are the poly shutters. So they are vinyl. So when you're looking at them from afar, they look like wood shutters, but they are there. We opted for the vinyl because of the ocean air. So if you have the doors, your sliding glass doors open, which you often do down at the beach house, a lot of people coming in and out. We just found that for the wear and tear of the ocean and whatnot and the elements, that this is the better product to go. And from a standpoint of budget also too, again, second home. And they look like actual wood shutters. It's only when you get up close to them and you start, you move the louvers with the louver mover.
They feel differently, but they look the same.
They feel differently, but they look the same. I even have, some clients here in Wyckoff that had them, that did them before, that they started working with their designer. And from afar, they looked just like expensive shutters. And then when I got up close, I was like, oh, wow, these are the vinyl. Okay. So if you like the look of a shutter and you want to incorporate it, you can, and they are, everyone's working with the B word, the budget, they are budget friendly. So with these, we ended up doing a frame around. So you have a 4-sided frame, and we went with a we didn't go with a lock rail. We went with a divider, a
split tilt.
Split tilt. Thank you. Goodness.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
So with a divider rail, you're normally going to get like this thicker centerpiece that really blocks out the window. And they didn't want to do that. So we went with the split tilt. So again, the bottom half, they could have their privacy, and then the top half. The louvers here are about 2.5 inches. That's why you see as many louvers as you have there. And that's a whole, again, we did a whole thing on shutters. We could probably, again, do another whole video on shutters again. But this was, I just wanted to show you that if you're not into drapes or woven woods and you're more into the hard treatments, that you can do this kind of thing in your beach house.
It's just very clean, very architectural look. And I also find that some clients absolutely love it and some clients absolutely hate it. So it's a very much of a love-hate relationship.
Yes, 100%.
There's oftentimes not even a lot of mixing of draperies involved with shutter. I mean, some do, of course, but kind of like in my experience, it's if somebody really loves their shutters, they want them completely exposed. They just want shutters. They want the clean architectural look. They don't want any fussiness, no fabric, no text. That's just what they want. And then there's those that are like, oh my gosh, they're so stark and so uninviting. I need, all the other options that we have for them. So very, very polarizing style of window treatment. All right, here is a project that we did for Linda Phillips of Linda Phillips Interior Design. She is based on the main line here just outside of Philadelphia and has a shore house. This was her personal house. This is her master bedroom at her house. And full disclosure, we did not do the shades. So the shades were done by somebody else before she brought us on board. But we did do the curtains. And so these are they're not quite 2-story, but they're pretty high. I believe they're about 150 inches of curtain there. They are mounted on a polished chrome 2-inch, or here's a 2-inch metal rod, because that's what she definitely wanted. It has metal grommets. And she's actually she traverses them, like she actually closes them, believe it or not.
Whoa! That high up?
Yep.
No way. Okay.
I know. So, and we had extensive discussions about grommets not necessarily being a functional treatment.
Yeah.
And we talked about the height, but she's very confident and she knows what she wants and she has a lot of experience. So. That's what we did. And the shades are motorized. So this is how she gets her privacy and light control. But it's that top window that she really wanted to cover at night. Because where she was on the water, she was getting a lot of sun in the morning.
Well, of course. And what I love about this, it's like normally like with a bay window situation like this or a 3-window situation, you often see panels on the outer side. And very rarely do you see panels on the inner without them being on the outer. Yeah. So this is a good example showing how sometimes when you have to think out of the box creatively, and I know it's like, well, do I really want to make that risk with my clients, budget and things like that? But I think this worked out really great. And this is an awesome example for everyone out there that if you do have this window configuration and you're just trying to figure out how to cover that whole center arch window that architects like to put everywhere, that
what do you do with it?
Yeah, that this is a good example of how to cover it. We're not and forget that whole trim detail that you have going on there at the bottom. That I saw that too.
we did highlight when we talked about embellishments and trim, I did bring up that picture maybe a little bit with a more of a close-up, but this was fun. There was 3 rows of satin tape there. So that was something interesting. And we talked extensively about exactly where to place it, you know, how many inches from the bottom and all that. So there's you guys, not a single detail goes unspoken, undiscussed, unthought of. Nope. Nothing is by accident, just so you understand. Nothing with window treatments is by accident. And if it is, it's usually some sort of mistake.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Beach House Installations. We hope you were inspired and learned a thing or two. But before we let you go, we just have a couple of free goodies that we want to let you know that we have out there. If you are new to the window treatment game and you want to get your window treatment 101, Luann wrote an ebook and it is free on our website. It is called Architectural Digest Isn't Coming, 10 Things You Need to Know About Custom Window Treatments.
And from Vitalia Inc., you also have a free goodie. It is a free curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas for you to use, steal, swipe, and use immediately on your next interior design project. And you can also find it on our website at vitaliainc.com. Oh, let's do this.
Okay, and to keep up with all things Luann and the podcast and the audio version of WTF Window Treatment Friday, head on over to luannigara.com where you can click the podcast tab and on the search tool on the right-hand side. If you just hit WTF, you will pull up all of Luann and Vita's episodes right there for you to listen to.
And actually, a new episode dropped today. We recorded it a few days ago.
Nice.
And Luann was able to turn it around and drop it in today. And we're talking about a very interesting and very relevant to all of us topic. I think everybody in the design industry, the window treatment industry, are really finding it challenging to do business right now. Mm-hmm. We're all navigating the realities of the post-COVID era and the way it affected our businesses. We know that the demand is through the roof. The volume of work that we're all handling is a lot higher than it was last year. I know our business is almost actually more than twice than what it was last year. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, if that wasn't hard enough, we're also all navigating the supply chain difficulties. So all the supply chain disruptions, the shortage of customer service, the back orders, all of that on the supply chain we're navigating. So you have this convergence of high demand and low supply. And we as professionals are kind of stuck in the middle of this. Mm-hmm. So Luann and I really kind of pick apart this topic and give some really good, meaty, actionable advice for everybody to try to navigate the craziness of the post-COVID world. As both you guys in WindowWorks and us here at Vitalia Inc., as we try to do on a daily basis. And some days are really great, and some days, some days are not. Nope. And some days, you walk away and you're like, I got nothing done. It was like a whack-a-mole situation the entire day. I dealt with 100 problems, and there's still 100 more to deal with tomorrow. And that's just the reality of it. So Luann and I candidly and openly talk about how we're dealing with all of that in our businesses. So highly recommend that you listen to it as soon as you can, because it'll be very helpful as you go forward and continue in this post-COVID reality.
Exactly.
Actually, let's go to you, Kim.
Okay. All right. Now, if you have a beach house that you would like window treatments or an awning, because in 2 weeks, I'm going to highlight some beach house awning projects that we just finished up. Please give WindowWorks a call, and we would be happy to help you figure out all the project details. We figure out all the nidgy things, whether it's an inside mount, outside mount, what type of window treatment would be appropriate for that space, or what kind of awning would be appropriate for your back patio.
Very nice. And if you have a project in the Philadelphia area or in the South New Jersey shore area, we here at Vitalia Inc. would love to support you on it. So here's my phone number, my email, my Instagram handle, DM, PM, email. Give us a phone call. We are a one-stop, your go-to resource, the white glove, concierge level service for interior designers ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. And we would love to support you on it if you're looking for that type of company who always has your back and who makes you look like heroes in front of your clients. We're here for you.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, that concludes this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed episode number 54 on Beach House installations of Window Treatment Friday Live. And if it's Friday,
it is Window Treatment Friday Live. We will see you here every Friday at 12 noon on Facebook, on Instagram. Join us, ask your questions, give us your comments, look back through past episodes. There's a ton of inspiration, information, lots of educational content. There's absolutely no reason to not be educated on window treatments, because it's Kim's and my mission to get you guys educated on it. We're here for you guys.
All right. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.